Never did.
Hi, Big Bob. Hi, Big Ann. Welcome to the Big Bob and Ann's podcast. Ann called in sick today. She's not here. Our guest, Mr. Kevin Wilson.
Sir.
But a special shout out first to Brenda Ring, who is the founder of the Being the Best You Foundation, which we are both committed to support.
Absolutely, sir. Yes, sir.
Kevin, where are you from?
I am from Topeka, Kansas.
Do they have any nice houses in
the,
Topeka?
Yeah. Like my neighborhood, that's a nice one. There's some spotted ones around, but
Okay, that's
Topeka. I've always said Topeka has everything you need, not everything you want. So we got everything we need there. Good family ties there and everything. So it's
all right.
It's home.
Do they have Freddy's?
They do have a Freddy's there.
I
haven't been
I
there,
want.
but yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, you're good.
What do you do in Topeka?
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting. My primary thing that I am fortunate to do is I'm actually a stay-at-home father. My daughter's 14 this month, and my son is 15.
Oh my gosh.
And since
14,
they've been
14-year-old daughters.
it's a lively household. Let me tell you.
I've always thought that teenage girls are the most dangerous creatures on the planet Earth. I mean, it's scary. It's scary.
It is. It is. I'm just now beginning to broach into what it's like to have two teenagers in the home. So it's never a dull moment.
How big is your baseball bat?
Yeah. Well, and also, I teach martial arts at home too. So I'm a martial artist. So I'm covered in that. I'm covered in that.
I don't know if you're a football fan or not, but many years ago I was invited to John Ott's, big offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
And he's like 6'7" or something like that, offensive lineman. And he had a shotgun over the front door up on a rack. And I go, what is that for? And he says, well, whenever she brings home a first date, I stand there with my hand over the archway and say, what time are you going to have my daughter home tonight? And when he says 11, I take it down and cock and say 10 cents. 10 sounds better to me. And they always say, okay, right? I had two sons. I have two sons.
Yeah.
I'd be scared.
Scared
to have two daughters.
Well, there's nothing. Well, I got a daughter and a son, so not two daughters, daughter and a son. But I like that analogy. That's all about managing expectations from the beginning with the shotgun. That's good. That's a good. You just send the message.
You know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I get to really be involved in my kids' lives. My wife works part-time. She's a CRNA in Topeka. And
CRA.
CRNA. She's a certified registered nurse anesthetist. I always make the joke that she puts people to sleep before surgery.
Right.
We have the same job. She knocks people out her way. I do it in my way in the martial arts. Her way, unfortunately, it pays a little better her way, but she also says her way is nicer. So I don't know.
Have you ever been in a real fight?
I get asked that a lot, and my answer is not since I've been in the martial arts. And oftentimes I get asked, have you ever had to use your martial arts? And I say, yeah, I use it every day, but I've not been in a real fight since I've been in the martial arts.
I haven't thrown a punch since I was about 22.
Yeah. That's good living.
Right. No, I just learned how to run away fast.
Yeah. My favorite, I was interviewed, the news came out, they had the kind of the uptick of some people out jogging and stuff that were getting attacked. And so they came and they did an interview at my school, and I was talking about, the things that we do, like be aware of your environment, don't wear headphones, all these different things. But that's what I told them. That's my favorite technique, is the down and around technique. That's down the block and around the corner. If you can get that one done, then you live to talk about another day, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want
no shame.
Yeah, no shame in that. No shame in that.
Right.
No. If you win the fight, you at least hurt your knuckles or something. There's
I broke my hand once.
Yeah,
in a fight.
It's no good. It's no good. So,
how did you become so successful in business?
You-
Whoa. Did you ever become successful?
So that's a good question. Yeah. and a very relative one. I'll tell you, I love the word success because it could be measured so many different ways. In 1997, I actually started my martial arts school. We just celebrated 30 years of business last year. I call that successful, right? In 2001, I had some partners. We started actually a medical staffing company, and the success in that was really good. We provided a great service to ORs. We employed good people. I had a degree in business. I got to put a lot of that degree to work. I learned more in that situation that doing that company than I ever did through school. You know, I
Right.
mean,
No, look,
it's-
school, unless you're going to be a doctor
yeah,
or a
it's
lawyer, right? School is about the transition
absolutely
from living it under your mom and dad's home to living out on
getting
your
out of
own.
there. Exactly
And,
right.
and you got to learn to be self-sufficient, find the answers for
Yep.
yourself. Yeah,
It's-
college, I mean, I graduated 93 out of a class of 95 in phys ed,
Gotcha. Okay.
but it taught me survival
Oh, yeah.
skills.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, and I learned so much in that. We had our company for 10 years and ended up selling it. That's when I transitioned to be more present at home. That in that 10 years, yeah, learned a lot. Tremendously successful. We did a lot of good things surrounding surgery, surrounding education and surgery, providing services, and we made some money on top of it as well. Invested that into other aspects of business we did. So,
Are you coasting or are you still making money?
so you know, I'm doing a little bit. So much of what I do now goes on. Well, let me say this: so much of what I do now doesn't have to be centered on making money. So I get to do more what I like. So I like writing books. I love coaching. I love providing education on different success factors that have made me successful again in life. That surrounds certainly monetary things, but that also talks about the family balance. That talks about being there for your kids. All these different things, our health, all this
I'll
stuff.
tell you what, I'll trade you one of my books, which is called Wartime Retail, if you'll trade me one of your
Yeah, I
books.
love that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I can't promise you I'll read the book.
Yeah, that's always
But
the
you-
stat gets taller all the time, right? But yeah, you know, so what's what I do? My wife still works. She works part-time. We've created that good family balance. You know, we've got the you time, me time, us time, family time balance dialed in. So we are fortunate to be doing what we like to do without money being
Are you doing the cooking?
well, yeah, I do the cooking.
Are you
Yeah.
doing the cleaning?
Yeah, I do the cleaning.
The laundry?
Yeah, yeah. Well, not all of it, but I do a lot of those
So
household
you're
things.
more than just the stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
stay-at-home dad. You're the stay-at-home maid.
No, I try to
the
take care
caretaker.
as much as I can because I just believe there's
Jeez, you're blushing.
well,
Right.
I said I'm trying to be careful what to say here because what I was going to say is there's
Just pretend it's you and me.
okay, well, that's hard.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching.
No, on my podcast, we got 0 watchers.
Well, then I can say it's the same. No, what I like is you know, we all have strengths and weaknesses when we come to a marriage. I know I've got my weaknesses, but I have my strengths too. And part of my strengths is scheduling and efficiency. And I will say that, and I think I can say, so I'll get in trouble with saying that complements perhaps an area my wife lacks a little bit on that.
So you're an organized guy.
Yeah, I'm an organized guy.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So a lot of those household things, a lot of the, you know, kids are involved in many activities that I bear that responsibility to make sure that I'm taking care and on top of all that stuff, you know, not without imperfections, of course.
And the kids aren't old enough to drive their own cars.
Yeah,
so
the
there's
son's driving now, but yeah, I still got to be in there with him right now. So we're seeing light at the end of that tunnel. But yeah, we're
the after-school activities.
yeah. We're
Right.
always going, yeah.
Curfews. And
Yeah. And again,
do you own guns?
fortunate, I do. Yeah. I'm a, you know, people say in different areas, I'm a gun owner. I'm a martial artist, self-preservation.
Absolutely.
When seconds count, the police are minutes away. So I like to have another
love
alternative,
that.
right? It's just,
I love that.
it's just the reality of the world we live in. So,
What are your passions now?
man, really, so I love to read. I started taking, we got our kids involved in music, in piano when they were young. And my wife and I very foolishly decided we would try that too. Never having music as a background, never done music. She's had to take a little bit of hiatus, but I've continued with it, and I love music. I've learned a lot about
What are you
music.
playing?
I play the piano. I love classical pieces. I've even composed a few little pieces.
You're playing classical music.
Classical music.
How
yeah.
long have you been playing piano?
It's a good question. That's probably been eight years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so.
That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Oh man, it's. I didn't realize. I was
Painful.
I was
Painful to
naive
listen.
going into it.
Painful to listen to you practice.
Yeah. Now my son was very good, so it was actually easy to listen to him.
No, I'm
practice.
talking about you.
But me, yeah, I did it when nobody was around, so I wouldn't have to put anybody through that. But I didn't realize how ambitious that was until there was a movie that Jason Statham, of course, he's a martial artist. I like him. He's in a movie called Spy with Melissa McCarthy, and he went through this rambling thing. He goes, "I'm the guy that gets dropped off in the woods and." My arm falls off. I reattach it with some string. I do this. And he goes, I'm the kind of guy that starts piano in his mid 40s. And I was like, that's exactly what I did. Like, apparently that's a big deal. Right? But I had become passionate about it. And the teacher's a great teacher. And we actually co-authored a book together about the learning process and overlap between martial arts and music. So my passion is being there for my family, education, particularly in the area of finance, because I feel like I got robbed having a business degree, I feel like I should have learned something about money. And I did. I learned about macroeconomics and microeconomics
Look,
and
if all
business
you do is chase
concepts.
money, you never.
Oh,
get
and of course,
out.
of course. So I learned, I call it chasing the 10%. Actually, we get caught chasing the 10% of money. If I have 10% more car, I'll be happy. 10% more house, I'll be happy.
By the way,
You never get it.
you know who says money buys happiness?
Who's that?
People who don't have money.
Yeah, sure.
Because the people who have money realize
it
doesn't buy
no,
happiness.
it doesn't. Of course not. And I'm an advocate of trying to live a quote unquote comfortable life, but that's so easy to do here. We get caught so many times chasing that, trying to make us happy, and all it does is make us miserable because we're digging ourselves deeper into that hole of problems.
So what's new and exciting on your horizons?
Honestly, this work we're doing with BTBY, I'm very excited.
I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Because it happens to be a new passion.
Sure. Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
What does being the best you mean to you?
It means to me the path of self-discovery. We spend so much time trying to define our success, trying to find this level of conformity to fit in with everybody else. And I heard something a while back that I really like. I think it was even at a BTBY event. Somebody said, "Be you, everybody else is taken." And I just love that. That stuck with me.
Wow.
I liked it. And I just that ability to be an individual. And I love the idea of one of my favorite courses in college was a business class, and they talked about the concept of TQM, total quality management. It was a buzzword at the time, and it talked about just trying to find that way to get a little bit better in the logistics and everything else. And I like that idea as a life philosophy. Becoming the best you does that. None of us are perfect. None of us are going to be perfect, but we can still focus on becoming the best us that we can.
I don't think any of us could ever become the best.
No, well, it can, but it's the path.
The journey.
The journey's where it's at.
The journey, if you're not trying, you're
failing.
failing.
Exactly right.
And if you're failing to become the best you're a failure.
Yeah, you will read my book because you'll like it.
Maybe,
on the back, we talk about if you're not failing at something, then shame on you because then you're not
trying.
Yeah, you're not even trying.
Right.
You're not even trying. So fail. Get comfortable with failing.
One of the things in my book is spectators don't have a win-loss record.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You're just standing in the stands going, that was nice.
No, but a lot
that
of
was
opinions and a
terrible.
lot of
Right.
Yeah.
You got to get out and try.
Of course.
You've got to participate.
Of course.
Otherwise, you're a spectator, and
Exactly right.
spectators can't win or lose.
No, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So my understanding, some of the direction. Oh, by the way, I understand you are going to be the new CFO.
I've been invited, which is a little nerve-wracking. So that comes with
Invited. What does that mean?
I was asked by Brenda.
And what is your answer?
I said yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Very humbly, yes.
First here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All six of you get to watch and hear that.
Yeah. No, I said yes, and I'm excited about it.
And what do you bring to the table?
I think just a lot of experience. A lot of the stuff that we do with my company. You talked about earlier. There's much like with parenting. With parenting, I thought when my first son was born, it was a memorable experience. And I saw him come out. He was C-section. It came out. I didn't want to look, but my legs took over and had me stand up and look. I'm like, what am I doing? And I looked, but I thought, here's this life. And even if we had the book of all the right answers, which of course we don't have, they still have free will, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Same with business. We don't have the book of all the right answers, but we have that experience. You could either sit around and be a spectator to other business, or you just dive in. When we started our medical company, I described it much like jumping off of a cliff and then checking to see if you had a parachute. That's just the way it was.
Will you be able to bring this passion to the foundation?
I'm quite certain, yes.
Commitment?
Yes, absolutely.
What are the goals?
I think that's a lot of what we got to figure out. We're right now in so much of a new stage, but a new stage. This becoming the best you's been slowly, just getting some momentum. Yeah, it's been percolating, getting some momentum. And I just think now it's an exciting time to be a part of the group, to see where it's going to go.
One of my discussions with Brenda is that be the best you isn't just financial.
Of course not.
It's
not.
Because that's our bivouac. That's
Yeah,
our
sure.
background.
Sure.
But it's also emotional and spiritual.
Sure, of course.
It's also health and wellness.
Absolutely.
It's also service
Sure. Yeah.
back to the community, giving
Absolutely.
back.
Absolutely.
And so we've talked about having 4 pillars
Mhm.
that are distinctive, that all hold up the foundation.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much emotional and spiritual or health and wellness for sure I can offer the organization, but I believe
Mhm.
that all 4 pillars are equally as
Oh, I
important,
think so too.
that the individual is lacking and needs growth and support in.
Yeah. And it can draw on that from the organization because of that.
Every single person on the planet Earth should be able to find one of these pillars
Yeah, absolutely.
that they're falling short
Of
of,
course.
and that either on one pillar they need help, on another pillar they can serve.
That's it. They can
And-
absolutely.
and-
Yeah.
and
I like
give
that.
back.
Yeah.
And so everybody should be involved to some extent in an organization, this organization, or an organization similar to that, which is part of the message
Sure.
of service.
Absolutely.
Everybody needs to get involved.
In what you're describing, and you said it, Big Bob, everybody wants to measure success in dollars. And again, people that have some dollars realize how trivial that is. Yeah, you need a certain amount. But what I always teach it, I have what's called my pie of importance. And it's kind of like those pillars. There's so many things that are important in our life. And those are those pillars in our life. Sure, money is one of them. But money is a tool designed to serve those other pillars. And if we're understanding how to do that effectively, not going out trying to get as much money as you can for the sake of it, that's a losing game. It's a losing game. What money do you have? What plan do you have with it? And how is it serving those other pillars in our life? That's the where it's at.
Not everybody needs to be a fitness and health nut
Sure.
to not see a value in emotional or spiritual growth.
Of course. Of course.
Not everybody can have what I call the FU money,
Right.
right?
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not motivated by money anymore.
Right. Sure.
I
Yeah.
can't spend what I got.
Right. Hey, that's a good
Right.
problem to have.
Right. So
So what else matters then? Right?
service.
Yeah. Service. Helping other people understand that.
If you can't find, if you're already physically fit and on the right diet,
Mhm.
if you're already financially successful, if you're already in connection and constant with your own emotions and the spiritual center of the universe,
Mhm.
whether it's religious or not,
Sure.
you're well.
Then
Why
what
are you
doing?
not?
Then
Why are
what
you not
doing?
giving back?
Yeah, then what are you doing? Yeah, then what are you doing? You should be. You
Right.
should be. And I think that's so much of what the BTBY movement is really about. It is that service, right? It is.
Absolutely.
It's helping people again realize their own individuality, how they can work on towards improvement. I have a thing in my a book that I co-authored with the piano teacher. I related to kata. When martial arts, we do kata, certain forms. And I say
Is that
that
a cheese?
it is. Say it again. What'd you say? I missed it. That went right over my head. I got it. Cheese. No, different. No, it's a series of movements we do, teach different principles. But what I always say is, we want to be on the path to perfection when we're working on our kata.
Right.
They say it takes, 10,000 times, 30 years to
Right.
master one kata. So you work on being on the path to perfection. But what I say is you have to be okay with understanding you're never going to achieve it. And that's what we all should do in life. We're working this dynamic that we're just being the best us. And like you said, at some point when we get to where we feel like we're doing okay, my goodness, there's a lot of hurting people out there. We should try to figure out, and not even necessarily just hurting, but just could benefit from one of the different pillars you were talking about.
There's only one type of person I can't help. Type of people who don't think they need it.
It can't even just, you're about to say, yeah, no, that's,
If you're
that's the
smarter
challenge.
than me,
Yeah.
I can't teach you anything.
Yeah.
If you think you have all the answers, you don't need my
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
You don't need anybody's
Sure.
help.
No, you got it
If
all
you're
figured out.
always the smartest guy in the room,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
shit, wait a second. What can you do next?
Yeah.
If you're always the smartest guy in the room, what can you serve?
Yeah. Serve it. Yeah. Or work on not being the smartest guy in the room at least. That's the goal.
Hang out with better people.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
So being the best you is taking a growth spurt, is moving along. What is, as the CFO,
Uh-huh.
your vision of making it monetized, being more successful? How do you see this?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get into the layers of what the current structure is a little bit, but just globally, what I think of is
I like the word globally. But
yeah. I mean, just
I can see this globally.
I know absolutely, and from a global perspective, I always look at everything through percentages. So if a dollar comes into BTBY, there's people working hard in BTBY. So some of that dollar should go to them. Some of that dollar should go towards advertising. Some of it should go towards marketing. Some of it should go towards serving. Some of it should go towards scholarships and different things like that. So whatever percentage of we got to figure it out. But when we get that dollar in, that's what I see is we will grow all those different aspects of BTBY simultaneously.
My charitable dollars
Yeah.
only go to organizations that have less than a 25%
Yeah,
fixed overhead.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
That would be one of my goals.
Yeah, sure.
For
I
the
think that's great.
CFO,
Yeah.
the CFO is to raise enough money
To where
that
it's
our fixed overhead is only 25%,
right.
and the rest of it
It's
goes to
going
the
out to
community.
Yep.
to the community.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah, that would be good.
That's a hell of a commitment.
And it is a big commitment, and that's what we got to look at. And but
You're not going to do that on a $50,000 year.
no, but and that's what I say. There's going to be a lot to figure out in this transitional time. So, but I'm excited to be a part of the process of trying to figure it out. I'm excited to be working with the people that are committed to it and involved with it. It's going to be exciting times. I'm really looking forward to it.
What is it going to take to get there?
Yeah, that's the $26,000 question, right?
The TV show was 64.
Oh, was it 64? Yeah, for inflation too. Yeah, it is 64, isn't it? I don't know, and I think that's part of the exciting part of it. That's what we got to get figured out. I got some ideas, but I think that right now is it's a very interesting time because I do think that BTBY is going through that transitional stage that we start to gather some momentum as we go.
Oh, look, do they need a mission statement? Sure.
Oh,
a
yeah,
vision.
sure, yeah.
I think Brenda has done a great job of putting people in her camp that are a lot stronger and better and capable of carrying a lot of the water for her.
Sure.
And the more people that are carrying water for the foundation, the stronger the foundation becomes.
So too. Yeah.
So it's not just recruiting money.
No,
it's
it's
recruiting
investing people. Absolutely.
people,
Yeah.
and people who will spread the message through a podcast,
Sure.
through their speaking engagements, and then the audience. And I don't like labels,
Yeah.
but you have disciples and you have ambassadors,
Mhm.
and the disciples are out there all the time preaching and trying to convert
Right.
other people to this way of thinking,
Right.
and the ambassadors represent the core values.
Sure. Yeah.
And you need both.
Oh, absolutely.
And you
Absolutely.
need to spread the word. And I'm hoping someday here in Kansas City, we can rent out the mobile or Sprint Center and fill it with 17,000 people. That would be
That'd
wonderful.
be fantastic.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic. And I think that it's interesting time that we live in. I think that a lot of people are unhappy and could really benefit from this type of just self-awareness because we are caught up in a very strange time where we're given money but not taught how to use it. We're given diets but not taught how to implement them. We're encouraged to get married but not taught how to be successful in them. All these things continue to plague different aspects of our life.
In the very short time this podcast has been going on, I had a wellness and health doctor,
Okay.
over the top committed to health and wellness.
Right.
Next guest today or next week is going to be a local bishop his congregation is 2,500 families. He's all about the emotional wellness and the spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody I've talked to believes in service, giving back. We've had some very successful businessmen here, and you need all of it. The community needs all of this to be successful.
Of course.
And that's the goal,
Yeah.
is to develop each one of these pillars independently with the synergism of all holding
Oh,
together.
yeah. And going right to even what she's talked about earlier. I mean, again, and then defining success for us. I think many people don't really have an idea of what success is to them.
Ask me, when did I think I was successful?
When did you think you were successful?
We've been in business for about 40 years.
Okay.
I started this business on a $15,000 investment, worked 360 days a year, blah, 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 blah. The same everybody else. Worked hard, got lucky.
Right.
The first time in my life, I walked into a restaurant, looked at the menu, and did not care that the cheeseburger was $1 more than the hamburger. I wanted a cheeseburger, and I didn't wrestle in my mind, is it worth the 75 cents or the dollar?
Right.
Didn't care.
Right.
And that was the first time in my life.
I love that.
I was almost 40 years old. And it was the first time in my life I realized I was successful. Because I wasn't looking at the price. I was going to get exactly what I wanted.
What you wanted. Yeah. What you want. And the irony is that, I love that, because that quantification of it only being $1 difference, it doesn't matter. It's the process.
Of I don't care what it costs.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'm going to get what I want.
Get what I want. There was a.
By the way, most single women don't look at the prices either.
Yeah, right. Well,
they're always going to get what they want.
They're already they are successful,
Right.
Right? They've already figured it out, right? That was one of my favorite books was by Dr. William Dacre and Thomas Stanley, The Millionaire Next Door. And that's what they did that. So are you familiar with the book? Have you read it? They did this study on wealth in America and what we think are the happy, successful people. What we determined was not. They're the high income earners. The wealthy people was the guy next door that you never knew was a millionaire, because he just lived within his means and figured out the system for letting that money supply live below. That did things like you said.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah. Exactly. Of course.
Goes to McDonald's every morning for his breakfast.
Exactly right.
And drives a $50,000 Ford truck.
Yeah, because again, you can spend more money on a car, but it gets you from A to B just like every other one. So what's the point?
One of the things up on my poster you'll read in my book is food is fuel, home is shelter, friends are good, life is simple. Once you have food, shelter, and a friend, life is either simple or as complicated, as you choose to make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be complicated.
No, it doesn't. And that's what I said earlier. I mean, it's easy to live very comfortably here in the States. I mean, now the problem is, I need this. I need this size home. That's where we're running into trouble. No, you got a shelter over your head. I do the same thing. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I talk about that same thing. The food, water, shelter, that self-actualization level. That's where we make so many of our financial decisions. And that's where we're really challenged, because now we're embracing our sense of worth and all this. And
so one of the problems in society today is everybody thinks more is money. It's not more. We all strive for more.
Sure.
We all strive for more. What do you want? More hours in the day, better health. Some of us want a bigger car.
Yeah.
I mean, more vacation time. Right. It's not always money that we need or want. It's more, and it's different for every individual.
Of course. Yeah. And depending on where you have more, it brings value to the other things.
Ask me what I want more of.
What do you want more of?
Ego gratification.
Not good enough. Right. I like.
That's why I'm doing the podcast.
There you go.
Ego gratification.
There we go. There we go. I thought it was the serve. That's what I guess they can go hand in hand, right? Yeah. We'll take
sure.
Yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. And once we have those things figured out, I agree with you. We sometimes spend so much time and energy and effort overcomplicating our lives that if we just sat back and just went off that more primal basis, well, what do I need? I'm in the stage right now where I'm trying to work in my household to help them understand the concept of less is more. Have you ever heard that expression? But we're trying to understand that, would that be in material things or whatever. But I like that, because more things just sometimes complicates it.
Well, probably one of the most used words in my household as the kids were growing up was consequences.
Consequences.
Very rarely am I going to tell you what to do.
Yeah. There's just a consequence to what you do, right?
I'm going to give you recommendations.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you suggestions. You're going to make your own decisions. But if you make the wrong decisions,
Yeah.
there are consequences.
Yeah.
And just learn to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. It's that simple, right? That's
Right.
simple. That's simple.
Responsibility.
Yeah, that's simple. And unfortunately, we're a society oftentimes that I remember. I used to work in theater management. I worked in theater management for a decade or
So
so.
what are we talking? Movie
theaters. Yeah,
Not
not acting theaters.
not behind the scene.
Not
acting.
behind the scene acting, but
You're
movie theaters.
making popcorn stuff.
Exactly right. No, but I worked in management, and I had taken over somebody's theater in Topeka. And
do they have any nice houses in Topeka?
They right next to the theater. But what I took over this staff, and like I don't know what the previous manager, but they didn't come to work on time, and like I didn't understand. My father was a packaging machine specialist for Frito-Lay there in Topeka. I'd worked there for a long time, and I was young. I was like 19 or 20, and I told my dad, I said, I know I'm not that old, but I don't understand kids these days. I don't understand not showing up to work on time, not wearing you having your clothes ready. I said, I don't understand. And he said, son, those kids grow up to be adults. And I'm thinking, you're not telling me you're dealing with that same thing. He goes, yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling you. And I thought, good grief, really? But the reality is, we have grown people that are struggling on what you just described as simplicities in our life.
I'm a full generation older than you.
Yeah. All right. A
full generation. When I was young, it was a race to see who could get to work first.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, I was selling retail,
Uh-huh.
and the first one got the first up.
Right. Yeah.
So the store opened at 9. I'd get there at 8:45 until this
First
other
in line.
butthead started showing up at 8:40, and then I had to get there at 8:35, and this was just to get the first up of the day.
Sure.
Because we were that competitive.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, the solution was we agreed to meet for coffee at 8:30 and walk in together.
Go there and just alternate each day, right?
Right.
That was a good plan.
But so back in my day,
Mhm.
95% of the people were working hard, showing up early, staying late, and trying to get advancement.
Right.
Today, a lot of employees are what we call Fred Flintstones. Do you know what a Fred Flintstone
Yeah.
is?
Well, give me the exact definition. I know who Fred Flintstone is, so give me
The
the
5 o'clock whistle.
Yeah.
Gone.
Right?
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Right? They're not going to spend a minute. Do I get paid to stay extra?
Right, sure.
So what I told my kids is, you're lucky. You don't have to compete against 95% of the people to get to the top of the rung.
Yeah, true.
Now there's only 25% of the people
that you
who
got
are,
to get.
you
Yeah.
who are competing to get
Sure.
to the top of the rung. All the rest of them are standing at the bottom saying, who's going to help me get up?
Yeah, exactly
How
right.
do I get to aren't I entitled to get up there with him?
Yeah.
They're waiting for their entitlements.
Yeah. It's the long wait too.
Well, maybe. Depends who's elected president.
Well, true.
But-
True. But you and I both know, like you say that, my wife is very sensitive to it. She's from the Czech Republic. She grew up under communism and socialism, and they always made the joke of, sure, do we have socialistic things in this country? Yeah, we have Medicare, we have Medicaid, and yeah, there's a need, and to a certain degree. But she would say they just had the shovel story, and they said you'd have 5 guys digging a ditch, and one guy would be digging the ditch, and the other 5 would have that shovel mark on their cheek for when they were just leaning on the shovel watching them, because the incentives aren't there.
Kevin, I'm going to tell you something that I probably not say out loud on my podcast. Today on the radio, I heard the Communist Party did not have anybody on their ticket in 2020 and is not going to put anybody on their ticket for president in 2024 because they're supporting Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, the Communist Party is going to support Joe.
Right. Yeah.
Why didn't I hear this every single day on the news?
Right.
It's crazy.
It's
Okay,
let's
okay, politics.
Yeah.
We talk sex and religion.
Aside, yeah. That's safe areas. But on that topic though, related but not related, there was a book called Nudge. I forget it won all kinds of awards, but it talked about basically the nuts and bolts of it is essentially we have to look at what our incentives are. And like you mentioned, showing up early, your incentive was you were at the first of the line to be able, that was an incentive. So that's why you showed up. so many of our incentives are put in the wrong place. They talked about it in there. They said they opened the book with, school cafeterias, and they said, okay, you got 5 spots where a product goes. And what they learned is whatever you put in this spot will sell the most. So then the question is, what do you put in that spot? Do you put the healthiest thing? Do you put the most profitable thing? These are the questions that, we have to ask ourselves when we're looking at this more kind of global concept of what's good for us. And what I love being in finance, they even talked about, employers having 401ks and whatnot, which I won't go into all that.
What went in that spot?
They didn't say. The question was, what is?
I want to know.
They didn't say. That was the opening thing, and they kind of used that as a segue into all these other things that we make our decisions. Yeah, but the reality is there's lots of different things you can put in there. But the question is then, for what purpose? For what reason?
What do you think they're putting there?
Well, I think that I would say the most profitable. Yeah, I would say the most profitable.
Right.
But maybe that's not the most effective metric we should be looking at. So that's was kind of what they were looking at, and simple little things they talked about. And that's why the book was called Nudge. Just nudge people in the right direction. They talked about 401ks. They said, why are we set up as a default to not contribute to the 401k? And you have to go to the work to go talk to HR and all this and figure out how much to contribute and all that. They said, why don't you create a nudge that says, you know what, by default, you're in our 401k program when we hire you. You put it this amount of dollars in these funds. And then if you want to change it, you can.
Right.
But we're going to default you to
sign out. Don't sign up.
Yeah, exactly right. And so they're talking about little things like that, but there's so many things in our society that our nudge is in the wrong direction, and our incentives are either in the wrong direction or just non-existent. And that's what we have to look at. I don't care what you do. If incentives aren't in the right place, yeah, you can have 1% of the population is just altruistic and going to go for this no matter what. But 99% of us, we need that nudge in the right direction. And if we're not putting those incentives in the right direction, we're going to struggle. So and we're kind of come back full circle with BTBY. This BTBY is a nudge in the direction. I'm a believer. What you focus on grows. We should focus on that. So many people feel like they shouldn't. They feel like they're being selfish if they do. Actually coined a term called self-flesh, and it's being selfish for positive reasons.
You cannot plant a seed and expect it to grow by itself. It has to be
watered. It's got sunlight. Of course,
it needs a lot of ingredients. This seed, being the best you, has been planted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's in a fertile garden.
Absolutely.
Now it needs to be watered, loved.
It is there.
The weeds need to be pulled, and eventually there's going to be fruit.
Yep.
That we all benefit
from. Yep.
Kevin, because you're quasi-local.
Yes.
And my partner, Ann, was not here today.
Yeah.
Would you consider coming back at some future date when I have a last-minute cancellation and I need a filler?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to. No, this has been fun, and I love having that flexibility to be able to do that. That's
you have been an absolute joy to spend some time with. And by the way, I'm really looking forward to following some of your leadership and helping being the Best You Foundation take off.
I'm excited about all of it.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Night.
Hi there, I'm Lucas Ngala. I'm the founder, owner, and CEO of Watchman Security Services. We specialize in building security solutions like video surveillance, access control, intrusion, and fire alarm systems. For multifamily communities, we help provide a smart apartment experience and community Wi-Fi access that you can provide for your tenants. So whether you're a commercial or multifamily developer, property manager, or an owner of commercial office buildings, we tailor our security services to fit your very specific needs. We allow you to focus on your core business while we ensure the safety of your people and your investments. You can depend on Watchman for reliable protection and seamless connectivity. Visit our website at www.watchmankc.com or call us at 816-744-8900.
I'm Big Bob.
I'm Ann.
What's up?